And when a couple of guys came to me and said, "Hey, I'm going to get the same way I did. I'm going to go ahead and get some help because I think things are bothering me." And I was like, "Wow, that's deep." These guys said, "I need to do that." And that was back then. And I was just like, I didn't know what that looked like. But when I went to my chain and said, "Hey, I think I want to get," but you have to remember, I'm in a very different situation. And they said, "Do you like your job?" And when that was said, carry on, do your job. And it's
so if you started to bring up anything about how you were feeling or mental health, they basically said, step in line or get out.
No, not step in line to get out, meaning that basically if you do this, that's going to affect your career.
So be silent, otherwise the implications of speaking out could hurt your career.
Of course, sometimes that's the truth of the nature. People will say, "No, it doesn't happen that way. It's HR, this and this and this and this," but internally, things happen all the time.
A book I read, it was by a gentleman named Sebastian Junger, and the book is called Tribe. And what he talks about one of the things is lack of belonging in this culture, but also that what he noticed is when you look at suicides in the military community, most of them happen when they're home and not in a combat situation. And the reason that people are so sad is they went from having this tight-knit group of people with a common purpose, facing common danger, which really, really brings people together closely. And now they're in the more civilian world where you're talking about quotas or you're talking about reports with paper. It's not as serious or as bonding, and they feel a lack of connection to the world, and that's when they decide that I don't want to be here anymore.
You do. You have a lot of survivor's remorse. You also have transitioning. Transitioning is hard for all the military members. Transitioning means that transitioning out of the military into a civilian world where everything is different. It's not that structure, that rapport, and all those different things, where I do a lot of speakings on that, bridging the gaps with those transitions with military and civilian. So when you mix it up together, you get military, it's like, I did this and I was this person, I had this person, I had 100 and so forth. Well, now you're in a cubicle. You don't have anybody but yourself. So we got to work together. And also, other side, civilian can be like, I don't care what you did. This is not the military. This is here. This is there. So you have to come to a common denominator. You have to understand each other, what each person is going through. You can't say I. It has to always be we. We need to do this. We need to work together. We need to figure this out. And sometimes you have to bring an outside source, and sometimes I'm that outside source to come in because I've lived both sides of it, and I make them marry together.
One of the things that seems to be missing in our culture is a gratitude for people, whether we're talking about the trash man, a military guy, a policeman, the guy that is cooking everything. I mean, there's just this idea that things happen and we're not thankful for the people that do it, and it just seems, I don't know how you could inject it other than just individual people starting the movement, but it just is staggering to me. Like even on the police officer side, I was listening to a retired police officer on a podcast, and he just explained all of the things he has to see on a daily basis, and for some reason it's become popular because of a few bad guys, which we should hold accountable. We're demonizing a whole group of guys that have to pick up the muck of society and deal with it every day.
Well, I love my men and women in blue, and I contribute that to loyalty. I don't just turn my back on people because other people say they don't like them. I don't turn my back on someone or something because one or two people did something and not the whole organizations. Now, if anybody does do something, absolutely
hold them accountable.
100%. As far as us with gratitude, we are very entitled. We're very selfish, ungrateful, complacent. I say we because sometimes it's just human nature. I get into it even when I always try, like I said, being there, thank you, I appreciate you, yada, yada, all those different things is sometimes we have a slipping moment, but we are also human. But we also have to realize what our downfalls is, just like you said earlier, where if I smile at you, you're going to look at me like, wow, this big black man smiled at me. And that made a big difference.
Yeah,
or
that
I
would make my day.
Or crack a joke. You know, and I'm being funny when I say big black man, but I'm being very serious because
you do fit the description.
I do. But you know, people say I never judge. I don't judge people. I don't judge people. People. You judge. Automatically, your mind, when you look at something from childhood to now, wherever you've been, whether it be a book, a picture, a memory or something, you're going to say something in your head. Not saying you're going to judge them like, oh, he's a mean person, but you're going to look and you're going to descriptionize what that person looks like, how it be, whether it be white, whether it be Jew, whether it be Asian, whether it be black. That's the first thing that pops in. And then you're going to put everything else along with it. Not judgment, but it's reality.